What if everything you believe is a lie? Have you ever felt like something about this world is off? Not just the usual life is tough kind of feeling, but like you're trapped inside a maze and someone or something is moving the walls behind the scenes? What if I told you that the people in charge aren't really in charge? That the strings of power, of religion, of war and money are being pulled by beings we can't even see? Sounds like a sci-fi movie, right? But it's not. This is the real theory proposed by Salvador Freixedo, a rebel priest who broke away from the church to reveal something terrifying. He believed that non-human entities, yes, invisible beings, have been manipulating humanity for thousands of years. And if what he said is true, then everything we know, our religions, our governments, our suffering, may not be what it seems. So today, let's take a deep dive into his most radical ideas. Because maybe the most powerful rebellion you can make is to wake up. Who was Salvador Freixedo, the rebel priest? Imagine dedicating your whole life to God, only to realize the version of God you were taught to worship might not be the real one. That's exactly what happened to Salvador Freixedo. Born in Spain in 1923, raised in a deeply religious world, he became a Jesuit priest, part of one of the most elite spiritual orders on earth. He studied in prestigious universities across Europe and the Americas. He had access to power, to secrets, to inner workings of religious institutions that most people only dream of. But the deeper he went, the more disillusioned he became. He started seeing the cracks in the system, the rules that didn't make sense, the fear tactics, the contradictions. He started asking dangerous questions like, why does the Bible contain so much violence? Why does God demand fear and blood? And most importantly, what if these gods weren't divine, but something else entirely? In 1968, he wrote a book called My Church Sleeps, where he criticized the church's loss of spiritual purpose. It was raw, honest, bold, and it got him expelled from the Jesuit order. But Freixedo didn't go silent. He went deeper. The great shift from God to the gods. When he left the church, he didn't just turn atheist. He turned investigator. He started researching the UFO phenomena, parapsychology, and ancient religious texts. And what he found was chilling. Maybe the gods of old weren't gods at all. Maybe they were interdimensional beings who had advanced technology, immense power, and a master plan, not to help us, but to harvest us. Let me ask you this. Why do ancient civilizations across the world all talk about gods coming from the sky? Why did those gods demand blood, rituals, sacrifices, and worship? It doesn't matter if we're talking about Yahweh, the Anunnaki, the Aztec deities, or the Watchers in the Book of Enoch. There's a pattern. And Salvador Freixedo started connecting the dots. Earth, a human farm? According to Freixedo, Earth is not what it seems. It's a farm, a human farm, not for our bodies, but for our energy, specifically our emotions. You ever wonder why fear is always on the news? Why history is just a loop of war, oppression, and sacrifice? It's not just human nature. It's by design. Freixedo believed that there are invisible entities who feed off low vibrations, fear, anger, shame, guilt. And the more we suffer, the more they feast. Think about it. The Bible talks about pleasing aromas from burnt sacrifices. Aztecs offered beating hearts to their gods. Ancient temples were built not just for prayer, but for blood offerings. It wasn't symbolic. It was energetic currency. Just like we eat food to survive, these beings, according to Freixedo, consume our emotional output to sustain themselves. They don't need to invade us. They just need us to stay in pain and distracted. The Bible, rewritten, a tale of control. Freixedo didn't say throw away religion. He said, look at it with new eyes. Take Yahweh, for example, the Old Testament God. Yes, he's powerful, but loving, compassionate? He ordered mass killings, genocides, even asked Abraham to sacrifice his own son. He gave instructions for exactly how to kill animals, which parts to burn, and how often. To Freixedo, that wasn't spiritual guidance. That was a ritualistic energy extraction system. Yahweh wasn't the only one. Every ancient culture has similar gods who demanded sacrifice. Coincidence? Or shared experience with non-human manipulators? Freixedo believed that the Bible wasn't a book of divine truths, but a coded history of humanity's interaction with these entities. And once you see it through that lens, everything changes. The theater of fear, how media feeds the invisible. Let's bring this to the present day. You turn on the TV, what do you see? Terror, disease, division, disaster. It's like a theater of fear playing 24/7. And guess what? You're the audience and the battery. Freixedo believed that modern media serves the same purpose ancient sacrifices did. It keeps us in a state of panic, division, and low vibration. The news cycles aren't just informing us, they're programming us. Our brains are dopamine factories, easily hijacked by constant stimulation and fear-based content. And every time we react with anger, sadness, hopelessness, we emit emotional energy that these invisible owners thrive on. Think about a stadium filled with 100,000 people screaming. To us, it's just a game. To them, it's a harvest. It's no longer about gods demanding sacrifices at the altar. Now we offer our energy through screens. AI algorithms and digital slavery, a new form of control. Now let's go deeper into the future, into what Freixedo predicted, without even knowing the word algorithms. What if the new priests are machine learning models? What if the new altars are your phones? Your attention is the currency of the new age. Social media algorithms aren't designed to make you happy. They're designed to keep you hooked, feeding your data and your energy to systems you don't control or understand. Freixedo warned us, when you don't control the source of your thoughts, you are not free. And that's exactly where we are today. We've gone from blood sacrifices to data sacrifices, but the energy exchange is still the same. The Gnostic escape route, inner awakening. Thankfully, Freixedo didn't just leave us in fear. He believed the key to freedom is simple, but not easy. Awareness. The ancient Gnostics said it best, know thyself. Not through books or sermons, but through Gnosis inner knowledge, the direct experience of truth. They believed each of us carries a divine spark, a piece of the real source. And when we awaken that spark, we rise above the control grid. That's why Freixedo said, do not blindly believe or blindly deny. Observe, question, investigate. This isn't about conspiracy. It's about consciousness, the light within, your power to disrupt the system. You want to know the most radical thing you can do? Turn off the noise. Sit in silence and feel who you really are. Because the system thrives on distraction, but your soul speaks in whispers. Meditate, reflect, choose your thoughts. Choose love over fear, compassion over control. Each act of awareness is like unplugging a wire from their grid. You are not powerless. You are not a pawn. You are a creator. And the more of us who remember that, the weaker they become. Because darkness has no power over light that is awake. Final thoughts. Remember who you are. So are there invisible owners of Earth? Freixedo believed yes. But more importantly, he believed in you. In your ability to wake up, to see the illusion, to rise above fear, to become free. This isn't just a theory, it's an invitation. To stop sleepwalking through life and start walking with your spirit wide awake. The gods may still roam the shadows, but your light, that's eternal. Thank you for watching. Now go remember who you are and never give your power away again.